Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here, we successfully get that user, and also I have already created one of the method as a set user, and into the set user area, I get all that our user data and I just pass it into the state, right? So now we have to actually pass this user data, right? We have to pass this user data in our which position? You have to pass it in our this nav. Okay, because of all nav is the common for the every pages, because here right now when you logging, after that logging you can see here that is actually all that our user data. So this user data now I want to do and to pass it in our this profile page. After that logging, it's return redirect to our profile page, right? So into the profile page area I want to do and to visible this username, that means we logging username and the logging user email address. So if you want to pass it, so that is actually the one the component, right? So that is our logging component. So because we have created our token in all this logging component. So friend, in fundamental I have already discussed about that things with you. When you pass any data one component to the another component, then you have to pass it with the props, remember? So that is one of the component as a logging component. So this logging component data now I want to pass it in our header. Into the header there is a nav, here I want to pass it, so that is another component. So we have to pass it with the props, right? So now I want to do in our nav. So into the nav area here I want to pass it. So I take everything with this user. So with this user I want to access our state. So if you want to access that state, so what exactly you have to do? So that will be this and then the state, and then our state I name it as a user, right? So if you go to your header into the states, you can see I have name it as a user. Perfect. So I simply pass it, and also I want to pass out this method as a set, that is a set user method. Here if you want to pass it, you can also pass it, that is our set and then user, because here actually our this user all the data, right? Here with this I actually get that our user name and then user email address, right? So that is the two things I want to actually get it from to this position. So for the reasons that you can see, there is a name and that is our email. So now I want to pass it with the set, that is our set user method. So we do the set user method. Here I want to pass our, if you want to pass this method, then that will be this and then our set user. Okay, so I pass that our method, and also I pass that our states data, that is the states user data. I take the things with this user, and also I pass that our method data. I take the things with this set user method. So now I want to load it. I want to load it in our this logging. So into the logging, that is after that logging, right? When it will be logging will be as a true. And after that, okay, after that here I want to pass this props. So if you have to pass this prop, that will be as a this and then props. You can see in fundamental I have already covered. So now we are using it, and here, so later we will actually go more deep. So don't worry, step by step we will cover everything. So now with these props, I want to pass our which data. I want to pass our this set user. Okay, that is set user data. Here I want to pass this method in particular that position, that is our set user. So into the set user here I want to pass all that our this user data. So if you want to pass it, then first of all we have to pass it with the response, right? So that is the response and then the data, data, and then our which data, our user data. Okay, so I simply pass it in particular that position. Perfect. So now that should be loaded in here. So now let's check this out, what exactly the things I am doing on here. Now that should be more clear. Click as a save all. Like right now that is our profile page, right? So into the profile page you can see they have no user data, right? So they have no user data. So now if you click as a refresh, so I refresh this page, and here they have on the error as the Axios is not defined. Okay, if you go, Axios is not defined. In our header.js I didn't add that Axios. Like if you go, that is our header. Into the header, you can see I didn't use that Axios, because here I'm actually using that Axios. So we have to load it, right? So better I copy that things from our logging. So that is our Axios. We have to input it. I copy it, and then in our header, into the header after this, okay, after this I simply load our this Axios. Perfect. Now click as a save all. So now let's check this out. Click as a refresh. Yeah, you can see now successfully now loaded. And here right now if you refresh, you can see friend, now that is the user. Okay, so that is the user I'm actually passing. If you go, yes, you can see. So that is the user now in our, that is our profile page. Into the profile page area, you can see now with this user, you get that user email address, you get that user name, and also you get that user ID. Perfect. So friend, I hope it's very much clear to you what exactly the things I did on here. So before, in our profile page, they have no user data. So right now I pass this user data in our this neighbor. So with this neighbor, when you access that profile page, you can see automatically if our user data is now loaded. So it should be not only for the profile page. If you create that multiple page, whatever the things you will add into the neighbor area, automatically it should be get this user data. Okay, that means logging user data. So right now I'm logging with this user. So now it's successfully loaded this data. Okay, so now we have to visible it. That means I want to visible this email address and the name. That means logging authenticated login username and login user email address in particular this area. Okay, and also I want to do when this user will be logging here, that should be not display as a logging on the register. It should be display as a logout. Okay, that means a sign out. And also we have to protect our URL. So step by step, friend, as I told you, I will create complete one of the authentication system. So authentication related everything I will cover one by one. So how can display this profile name? That means user in your profile page, in the profile page area, if you want to display this user, login user name and the email, how can display it in our next video? I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.